Okay, so in this walkthrough, we'll build a Windows 8 project using XAML, and we'll build out a dial, right? You know what I mean by dial, right? Not the soap. I mean dial like on your stove. You know, you turn the dial, crank to 11. Let's see. I am going to create a user control. We'll call this my dial, right there. And then inside the dial, I'm going to set its height and width. So height equals 450. You can set it however what size you want. Width is also 450. Perfect. Oops, we're going to have to format that properly, like so. All right, so you can see it's already 450. There's the grid, the outer grid. It is going to contain an ellipse. Here's an ellipse. Boing. I'll reset its layout to all so it fills it. Actually, I will change it so it has a nice margin of, let's say, 30. I'll jump to its properties so I can change its color real easily. And that's about it. That's the dial, right? So let's have an indicator showing where it points. So I'll do that in another grid here. Inside that grid, I will add another ellipse, right? That's just like that. I'll change its ellipse size. I don't care about the horizontal alignment, but I do care about the size. We'll make it, I want it at the top. That's nice. And we'll make it 100 by 100. Can you see that okay? And I'll change its color so we can see it to white. So you know what I mean, right? Let me bump it down. Margin 50. There you go. That looks like a regular dial almost. Almost, right? It's up to you to style it the way you want to. And the grid here is going to, I'll rotate the grid. That will give the, we'll use a rotate transform. That'll give the impression that it's actually turning. And what I'll do is, you know, rotate transform has to have its center X. And look, 225 is half of 450. That's where I'm getting that. And then center Y, same thing. 225 by 225. You want it to have its pivot point, its axis, right in the middle. And then, see, look, if I change the angle now to, say, like 45, see how it turns? And it looks like the dial has moved to that position. And actually, you know what I'll do? I'll set up a binding, B-I-N-D-I-N-G, A-N-G-L-E. All right, to angle. That'll be a property that I'll bind to, and then it'll update itself. Nice, huh? Okay, so we'll have to create that property. Now, in order to track the user's finger, we'll use manipulation events, and we'll do it on the outer grid here. And we'll say, what we'll say here is manipulation mode is all, and manipulation delta is what we'll use. I'll let it create the handler for me. So here we are, code behind. I'll say this.data context equals this. This is my user control, right? So I don't need to abstract it too much. I notify property changed. Excellent. All right, so now here I'll say this dot angle. Remember that property? This dot angle. So we'll create one here in a minute. This dot angle equals get angle, and the angle itself will calculate it based on where the user's finger is. So that'll be e dot position, and the boundary inside it. So that'll be our grid, our little Cartesian grid. So we'll say this dot render size. Like so. And you're like, whoa, where's that math going to come from? I'll show you. Okay, so that is going to return a double. So it's going to be of type double called angle. And there is the implementation of iNotify property change. That's pretty standard, right? All right, so pretty much done. And let's see. We'll have to do get angle, right? I'm certainly not going to type that in front of you. I've got a little snippet that we'll use, and I'll give that to you so you can do this on your own. This dot amount equals this dot angle. Let's see, it's 3. I don't want it to be 360. I want it to be 100, right? So we'll divide by 360. That'll make it a decimal, though, so it's 100. There, that'll return, instead of 0 to 360, now it'll be 0 to 100. That's a lot nicer. I want that to be an integer. I don't need all the precision about it. So now I'll just create, that'll be an integer called amount. Beautiful. All right, that's easy enough. This is our user control. When the user moves, remember this is manipulation delta, so as the user is moving their finger, this will fire, fire, fire. Even when they let up, it'll fire, fire, fire based on the calculation of inertia where the point should be. Isn't that cool? So you get a lot of value from using manipulation delta. Okay, so now to the math itself. Here is my get angle, right? A little Cartesian work there. And you can copy that from my blog rather than trying to freeze that video. But if you are trying to freeze it, look, there it is. Here it is right here. 1001, 1002, 1003. Beautiful. All right. So now it's really done, right? It's the manipulation that I care about. It's setting the angle. I've implemented iNotify property change. So back here where the angle is actually set, it reads from angle and it will update itself as you do it, right? I'm going to show you something kind of cool. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, let's call it 8 and 9 lines of XAML to implement this. Oh, that's so cool. So very cool. Okay, so this is a user control, so we can use it again and again. Let's jump over to the main page and use it, right? It shows up here in my toolbox, right? Once I build, it will at least. And so here it is. Nice. Very nice. Let me add 2, right? This is like living in New York City. My apartment is very small, so I only have room for a 3-burner or a little hot plate. Okay, so text block. I'll just jam a text block here because I want to see the amount. You remember when we created amount? So I will say, you know what, let me give a name to these dials. The first one will be dial uno, and then dial 20. Just kidding. And then dial 3. Right, very nice. All right, so let me see. I'll go down to text so that I can center this. There we are. Say center. Change its size to be nice and massive, and then bind its text property. I'll use that named element name right there. Dial 1 amount. Remember that? The amount property? Done. Defaults to 0. No problem. All right, so now let me copy that. Copy. Wow, that's not copying. This is copying. All right, copy and copy. Surely you would take a little more effort to make sure that you line those up properly. They're still bound to the wrong item. So now they're bound respectively. That's pretty cool, don't you think? All right, so let me change this to be into the simulator. I'll go ahead and say run it, and it builds. That was interesting. And when I grab it, look at that. Whee! All the way around. And then you kind of let go of it, and it keeps going. See how it doesn't necessarily follow my finger? I mean, it does follow it, but then it keeps going based on inertia, right? And each of these works. I can turn the heat up really high, and look how it's showing me the value of 1 to 100, right? That's pretty nice. Let's put those hash marks on. Remember the hash marks I was talking about? Because it doesn't look like, I mean, it looks like a dial, but I want to make it look like more of a dial. Let's see, here's my dial here. And so I'm going to put it underneath, so it goes right here, so little hash marks. The little dots, you know, all the way around it. So that's a lot of lines. I'll use a repeater, so I only have to do it once. Items control is that's a repeater. That is the repeater in XAML, right? And so now I can say items control dot items panel. I want all these to sit on top of each other. And so what do you use to sit things on top of each other? A grid. All right, so it's going to need an item template as well. Items control dot item template, which is of course a data template. And inside that, I want a line. Right, that's the line. It's going to be the hash. That's cool. So a hash, I mean a line, goes from one point to another. That's the definition of a line. And so we have x1, xy1, xy2. Those are the points where it goes from. So let's set those. X1, right? X1, we're going to start at 0. Y1 will also start at 0. That's fine. Let's see, the items control itself, let me do it horizontally. I want it centered, and vertically I want it at the top. Right? That's why boom, you can almost see it right there. Can you see it? Not yet. Okay, so I'll say X2. I still want it at 0. I just want to draw straight down, so it's still going to be 0. I'll say Y2 is 100. Right? It's whatever you want it to be. And then it's going to have a stroke. It's going to have a stroke. I'm sorry, your line had a stroke. All right, stroke of blue, some ugly blue, and then it's going to have a stroke thickness. Come on, stroke thickness of, let's say 5. Right, that makes it nice and big. You don't see it yet, right? Because this is a repeater. I'm making the data template. I don't have any data yet, but I'll do all this without code behind. Watch this. All right, so here it is. It's nice. It's set up. You know what? I am going to have to rotate this line, just like we did the grid. So I'll say line.render, and then line.render. So it's harder to type than you think. And then, so we'll use a rotate here. And then when I do that, R-O-T-A-T-E, there you go. It'll have a center X of 0, right? Because I don't want it to move its position. But I want to move into the middle, so I'll say center Y of half of this outer container, which remember we did that before, is 450. That's 225. Now its angle is going to be bound to the data itself, right? Look, it's just binding. I'm not going to give anything. I'm not going to give it a complex type, so it's going to bind to its actual value, which I'll pass in a double. So now I need to give it a whole bunch of doubles so that it lines them up, right? That's cool. Here's how you do that. Just jam them right here. X double. X double. Okay. All right. Take a breath. Go. All right. X double. Just like that. 1, 2, 3. There's 0 position. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Very nice. And so let's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? And so those are the positions all around from like 1 to, well, you can see right there, right? All the way down to like 15 minutes. And so now, since I did it this way, there's the 0, and then 1, 2, 3. Very nice. All right, so now I'll just go in and I'll just update these. These are all supposed to be 100. All right, very nice. These are all supposed to be 200. And these are all supposed to be 300. I don't have to go past 350 because 360 goes back to 0, right? I mean, we are talking about degrees in a circle. So now, see how it's redone it? Now, honestly, that purple, that blue on purple, God, are you kidding me? That's ridiculously bad looking. All right. If I see a bunch of bad looking dials out there, I'll be so proud. Look, I made them nice and fat. Let's see. I will actually change their color back to this little purple color because that's just, nobody should put up with something that ugly, right? Design comes first in Windows 8 development. And only kidding. Well, I mean, not kidding. That's true. Now, another thing we can do is you could change the end cap of those lines. So look at this. I could say stroke end is round. Oh, obviously I need to say stroke start. Stroke start. Stroke start. Is this it? Stroke start. Yeah, there we go. I'll say round. See? Much better. Much, much better. Now it's starting to actually look cool. Well, not cool yet. If I drop to the properties of this and I change the color, just kind of bump it a little lighter. Yeah, now that's actually nice. So isn't this cool? Look what we're doing. All these all the way around. We know they're specifically, well, we know that they're perfect. The lineup of them is absolutely perfect. Repeated just because I just dumped a bunch of points into XAML. No code behind, no nothing. All just declared for me. And it looks great. I mean, really, it looks great. And if I were to collapse it, look, I did the whole thing in one line. All right, let's run it and see how these look. It's going to look nice. Look at that. I mean, that is cool. Kind of looks like Gears. Gears of War. Very nice. Isn't that cool? That's really, really nice. Obviously, I need to set these down. There you go. That easy. Cool looking dial. You go in, make it look even cooler for your application, match your color scheme, change the way it looks, whatever. But there's the technique. I'll make sure that the get angle method is on my blog, and presto, you're good to go. Okay? Best of luck.